Hey, what's going on, everyone? John here with, obviously, Anthony from Let's Talk Resident Evil.
We are here.
And we are here to talk about something that's a pretty big win for us. So for those of you who've watched the channel for a really long time, back before I temporarily left for health reasons, something that Anthony and I have been very big advocates for since the very beginning of basically our collaboration together, when this whole debate between first person and third person was really kind of coming to a boil when Village was revealed to only be first person again, is perspectives. And why not give the player the choice of both? Something we've been saying since forever, basically. Forever. Like, I don't want to play in first person. I'd rather play it in third person. Let me pick that. And if a first person Andy wants to play in first person, they should be able to pick that as well. And we finally are seemingly getting it.
Finally. And like, the gameplay itself actually looks really smooth and fluent from what we saw, because again, we were like kind of looking at the first person and then the third person angles, because, you know, it almost, like they mentioned in the interview, it was almost like they were developing two different games.
Yeah, and we saw some evidence of that. It seems the hallway in the medical wing or hotel or wherever that is with the horse down at the end, there is a first-person shot in the reveal trailer where the monster comes down the wall and she's like backing up. And then in third person of the reveal we just had, which you might lay over the screen here.
Yeah, we can.
You're walking down that same hallway, and just because it works better in third person instead of the slow, meticulous crawl, it just breaks through the ceiling and lands.
Drops down quickly.
It looks like they're creating multiple events, like you said. They said in the video breakdown, like when they were talking about the development, they basically had to create two different games.
Yeah.
And it shows, but that's kind of what we said was a pain point from the very beginning of that perspective change. How do you make things work well? Well, maybe they won't do it because then some things will look weird. And they figured out the solution. Are you surprised it took this long?
You know, I'm surprised it took this long, but I honestly, if it made them, you know, kind of rethink how they approach this, because I think with Village, our problem with the third person is that it was just janky. It didn't feel like it belonged there. Even with the Rose DLC,
for sure,
it just didn't feel like it belonged there. And I think now, if you're taking the extra time, even if this took them 3 months additional, whatever it took, it's worth it because you make the fans happy and you're listening to fans. That's the thing. Capcom, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, granted, like any other company, but they have been listening to the fans, and I think taking the extra time, I respect it. And this is a win. This is a win for us fans, and I think that, like, we know when we play for the 24-hour stream, which is inevitable, we will be playing both respectives, giving our opinions on it, and I think that's cool because we can really experience it differently each time, and pick up little nuances that you get in first person or little things you get in third person. This doesn't seem janky.
Yeah. There are going to be some people who only want to play first person.
Of course.
There's going to be some people who only want to play third person.
Absolutely.
They even said in their Capcom survey, the general consensus was people stick to only what they like. So they wanted to offer a game that every player of their series could play. Whether they want to play it in first, third, doesn't matter. We got you, right? This is just going to give players a new way to play the game. If maybe they're a third person only and they only want to play third person, but one day they're just like, you know what? I want to check it out in first person.
Yeah.
It's not like I wasted my money because I don't like it. If it makes me motion sick, I'll just turn it off. That's so cool.
That's cool.
That's great. It's the same thing like a VR mode. The VR mode's there, but it doesn't take away from the experience if you don't play it.
No, it doesn't. And some people might prefer their horror just in first person. Well, guess what? Play it in first person. Enjoy. If you love 7 and 8 in first person, you'll definitely love this one. That's what's cool, is that, like, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
There's no, like, you know, this conversation of, like, you know, what works and what doesn't work with these games. Now it's going to be of like, well, I think it works better in first person, right? Like, you know, that it's just going to move the needle a little bit more of like, well, you know, I think it works better this way. But at the same time, there also could be recommended settings for each section, which is interesting. We don't know yet.
Well,
but what do you think about that?
I think that's great, and I think that makes sense. I do feel like that's going to be overall recommended to be in first person because that's kind of the theme that they're going for.
Nakanishi did 7, and he's
kind of the first person guy at Capcom. It's also groundbreaking. It's Resident Evil once again setting a trend. I can't think of any game besides Bethesda games, which are called Bugthesda for a reason, that allow you to seamlessly switch between first person and third person. And even Bethesda games feel awkward and shitty in third person. Without mods.
I don't play enough to speak on this.
Yeah.
But like you and my friends, you guys play a lot of Bethesda stuff, so
Yeah.
I plead the fifth on this
Yeah,
one.
I can't think of any other company that's actually willing to double the development time. It's not going to double the time, but to increase the time by a significant amount, a non-zero amount, to make sure that their third-person audience and first-person audience is getting an identical experience. This is just going to make it better, even more so for people like us who don't care and will play both.
Yeah, we don't mind.
Like, we prefer third person, but that doesn't mean we hate first person.
Right. And our favorite is, our favorite overall is fixed camera angles, but we know they're not going back to that.
They're never going to go back
So
to
we've
that.
accepted that, and we're like, okay, if it's third person over the shoulder or first, give us both. We'll play both. We play games that are both first and third, so we're familiar with both. So we don't have problems with motion sickness and stuff. But like John said, if you have those problems, you can turn it off. If there's a VR mode that's in addition to the first person mode, which of course is in first person, that's another just added on extra thing that they can do.
Yeah.
Even if we go back to the Spencer Mansion with a Resident Evil 1 remake in both first and third, can we really complain about that? I mean, it's a win-win. You can completely ignore the first person if that's not your jam.
And you can completely ignore the third person if that's not your jam.
Exactly.
And the other thing I really like too is, once again, in the horror space, because I can't think of any horror games that do this. Alien Isolation, no. Outlast, no.
You're talking about switching perspectives?
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, once again, Resident Evil is paving the way forward for new horror. And it kind of fits in with their tagline of they want to create the next generation of survival horror. How many other companies are going to see this and go, holy fuck, they did that?
They pulled it off.
Well, I guess we got to do that.
And it's a franchise that's 30 years old, and they're still breaking ground. They're still doing stuff that other companies look at and be like, that's a really good fucking idea.
It's early enough. Bloober might do it for Silent Hill 1.
That would be
because
interesting.
Shattered Memories is first person.
Yeah, that would be an
the
interesting
original
way.
Third person.
Yeah.
So maybe Bloober will see this and be like, Silent Hill 1 remake. Maybe we put a first-person perspective in this game. Maybe we have them able to put it in so you could play it like that. I'm not saying I want that, or that would probably not go well with Silent Hill fans. Maybe some of them, but I'm just saying as an example, this is going to once again show where Capcom does what other companies won't.
Absolutely.
This is why they're Cap gods right now, right? This is why they're getting the new building in Osaka. This is why they're willing to take risks and their IPs are dominant.
Pumping out games left and right.
And quality games, right? Ever since RE7, it's pretty much been all positive.
Right.
Street Fighter turned around, Resident Evil mostly turned around. We've had some gripes with some of the games, but like RE3 Remake and Village.
Stuff like Exoprimal didn't land quite as much.
But they took the risk.
They took the risk.
And the only
they can
reason
take risks now.
Yeah, and the only reason Exoprimal failed really is because it was a lack of them understanding their audience. Why are you going to create dinosaurs and it's not Dino Crisis?
I agree.
If Exoprimal was made by any other dev, I feel like it would have stuck around a little longer. It would have been a bigger streamer game than it actually was. Yeah, the game might not have been perfect. It might not have been a catch-all like a Fortnite or whatever else that you have out there that people really love to play, Overwatch, stuff like that. They're different genres of shooter. I just feel like it was a very bad mismatch on Capcom's part of like being tone deaf. Right?
I agree. And the whole like Regina thing where people thought that was her. It's like they knew what they were doing, but they weren't like...
It would be like them starting a new zombie IP and us marking the fuck out, and then it's not
It's
Resident
none of our
Evil.
characters at all.
No, it's not. It's not even Resident Evil
Yeah.
at all. And then we would just be like, what is going on?
Yeah, why are you doing
making this?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just weird.
But like you mentioned though before that, like everything else has been a pretty, pretty good. I mean, even
DMC5.
DMC5 sold a bunch. A lot of people want to see a sixth one of that, which you might get eventually. Onimusha's coming back. We got Pragmata, which again is going to be just another IP, another attempt at trying something new. So
I know it feels like Dino Crisis and Mega Man are the only things not being loved on. Even Okami's fucking coming back.
that's crazy.
Okami
right?
2's coming back.
And it's
they're
the
bringing back
same
Kamiya.
director. Yeah.
They're bringing Kamiya back. Beautiful Joe
The
is
OG
coming to the
RE2
Switch,
director is still around and he's still kicking. And he's
Beautiful
doing...
Joe's going to come to the online console. Like they're going to put
Yeah,
that
no,
shit on there.
I think we're in this like you said, this Cap God era as we're calling it. But I think again, breaking new ground 30 years later, we love to see this stuff. We love to see this as a win. We do see this as a win. And, you know, of course, seeing the gameplay really solidified, because obviously the week this was revealed, Resident Evil 9, we found out it was first and third just from the people playing it. But seeing it ourselves, because we weren't flown out, we didn't get press access.
No early
This was
access.
our first time seeing it, and let me tell you, it looks smooth as hell. Obviously, we won't know until we have the controller to play it, but guess what? It's looking promising, and I'm sure we're going to get more gameplay looks when they do more developer messages. So
I was going to even fucking Ghost and Goblins came back.
It did.
In the last 10 years.
Did.
Like, there's it's like Mega Man had a Mega Man 11, but
yeah,
Mega Man hasn't broken ground to a new generation. Like, we haven't gotten like a 3D adventure of Mega Man yet.
No.
Which might be what they're working on. Who fucking knows?
That would be such a cool surprise, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because when you really think about a lot of their IPs that can come back, that's one that is like, you know, and again, like you said, it's been around, but to really have like a stance, like firmly stand in this generation of consoles.
This is the new generation of Mega Man. Yeah. We're not doing 2D side scrollers for this iteration of Mega Man. We're doing Mega Man Metroid or something like that. Like what Metroid did, where Metroid Prime 4 is now
kind of broke out of its mold a little
exactly.
bit.
It's going to a new dimension.
Yeah.
It's 3D
literally.
instead of 2D.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, Metroid and every other game ever is going 2D's better, 3D's better, whatever. It's like Mario. You can enjoy all facets of Mario.
You're
Tennis,
going to have your pockets
party,
of people that like
2D,
those
3D,
different styles of games.
Which is why Nintendo's doing such a good job with Mario and Donkey Kong and other things like that, because they're embracing the fact that their fans love all of it. So you get things like in the new Donkey Kong that they've been showing off, you're running around and then all of a sudden you do a challenge level and it's a 2D Donkey Kong Country style level.
They leaned
instead
into
of the
it.
3D platform adventure what the game is based on.
Yeah.
Or Mario Odyssey, you go to 2D Mario and you're literally pixels again.
That was a great game.
They're embracing stuff like that, and I feel like Capcom is also in their bag. Like they're embracing the new change while keeping what worked with the old stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a great time to be a Capcom fan.
Capcom fan, RE fan, and just
they
all
really
together.
Are on top.
This is like, this is just such a great feeling coming off of, you know, the last few years of not knowing what this RE9 was going to shape into.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously with the developer breakdown that we did, you know, they talked about the open world. They talked about how they were trying to, you know, kind of just fit this in. And sometimes they do scrap a lot of ideas to find the best one. And I think that's fine as long as they landed right where we need them to be. So unless we play this game and it completely lets us down story-wise, character-wise, and just overall tone, I don't think so, but we won't know until we play it. But honestly, we're 10 out of 10 excited at this point.
For sure. And we were 10 out of 10 for Village, too. And that's just the other thing, too. A lot of people don't like RE4 Remake. We love it. We don't like Village. A lot of people love it. Capcom's still doing right by some of their fans, regardless of what their releases are. And that's the sign of a company that really cares. Their employees are getting raises.
And they're trying.
They're getting the new building. It's so exciting. Pragmata looks so fun.
It does. Monster Hunter and RE are up there. Street Fighter 6 really rebounded back after the disappointment of 5, which because 5 was in their kind of lower, you know, era, if you want to call it, when they were dipping a little bit in quality. And quality, you know.
People were very unhappy with 5.
They were.
Even at the end, they were like, oh, this game is what 5 was at the end. A lot of fighting game fans were saying should have been what it was at launch. And I think it took them like
2 years?
Oh, longer than that.
Update it?
I think it took them longer than that.
Yeah. And by then, did you even care about it? You know what I mean? Like,
because that was when Street Fighter 5. I'm not a fighting game like expert or anything, but I think Street Fighter 5 actually hit arcades first.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And I think it was their new motto is like they want all their games to hit both at the same time. Whereas Tekken 7 was on arcade forever before.
Yeah. They usually have that gap.
They want to know, Anthony, what are we playing first?
So we were talking about this. We might leave it up to you guys to vote on what we play first. But honestly, I'm really excited to... I do like first person. I'm not knocking first person, but I'm really excited to play an over-the-shoulder third-person sequel of Resident Evil that fucking just works well, just like RE4 Remake. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I know it won't play like RE4. She's not going to be flipping and dipping and parrying and all
but
that.
to have it smooth and the maneuver feel like it belongs there, I can't wait for that.
We haven't had a new Resident Evil game in third person over the shoulder since Resident Evil 6.
Let that one sink in.
Everything that has been a remake, so it's already been Yes, the over-the-shoulder for 2 and 3 is different than the originals.
Yes.
But we knew the story. We knew the beats. We knew the locations. This is completely going to be the first brand new over-the-shoulder game, and I'm super excited.
I'm so excited.
Yes,
So, yeah.
you could kind of say Revelations 1 and 2, but Revelations 1 and 2, well, Rev 1 came out before RE6. But Rev 2, it's still that little bit of jankiness.
It wasn't as fluent as it could have been with the running.
It's more like a
and,
village over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Than really what it was. It was kind of like a blend of 6 and like that stiffness. But that would be the last one after Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, and that was a spin-off too,
And
right?
that was a
so
spin-off.
as far as
so we haven't had a main line
yeah.
since Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
super
a good point.
excited for that too.
Can't wait, guys. So yeah, definitely let us know how you will be experiencing Resident Evil.
What's your first
9.
playthrough going to be?
What's
First
it gonna
person
be?
or third person?
And you guys will probably end up voting on what we play
right
here on the channel for the 24-hour stream in February.
Probably put the poll out a week before the game comes
Yeah,
out.
somewhere closer to that once we have the event set up and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are excited, guys. Like I said, this is a win for the community. So let us know in the comments what you prefer and what you want to play as for this first rendition of or the first playthrough of Resident Evil 9.
Yeah.
So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Let's Talk Resident Evil.
Peace.
Take care.